Hello, I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and welcome to Fantasy Booking Warfare! It's time for another first round contest in this 7-match single elimination tournament to crown the Fantasy Booking Warfare champion. Last week, we saw Alex do her best to try and overcome the domination of Mr. Davis, but unfortunately, she was voted down. Ollie has advanced to the semi-finals. The only question remains is, who's going to join him there as Denise, the Hammer Salcedo, takes on her very best friend, Luke Owen, as they book the final run of Brock Lesnar. I am joined by our competitors for this round of Fantasy Booking Warfare. I am joined by Luke Owen. And
hello there.
there it is. And I'm joined by the hardest working woman in all of sports infotainment, Denise Hollywood, the Hammer Salcedo.
Dos Bagels.
I was like, how many nicknames? I've lost track of all the nicknames. Juicy. I mean, I don't know. They just come at me. Shouldn't I be booing Luke? Yeah, that's a nickname. Yeah, that happened on our podcast. I nearly broke Luke. But I was gonna say, but shouldn't I be booing you, Luke? Because you're my opponent in this, right?
And I guess so too. I feel like I should be booing you as well. But like the week that you've had where like Sean was outright picking on you on the Fightful post show for Raw, and then the comments started picking on you as well. I don't know if I can be mean to Denise on this
My life is falling apart.
Look, gang, this is Fantasy Booking Warfare, okay? There are no friends in Fantasy Booking Warfare, so I am going to have to hear a bit of trash talk between Team Danuke, please. There it is. Thank you, Danuke.
You suck!
Hot stuff. All right. The claws are bared. Okay, before we start, first of all, we need to decide who is going first. Obviously, Ollie went first last time and won. So maybe there's an advantage in going first. Who knows? But let's say, Luke, do you have a D6 two-hand?
I do indeed. It is from Ghostbusters 2, the board game. So the 6 is the Ghostbusters 2 logo. Isn't that a bit of fun? Magic. Kickstarter, $220.
So odds, Denise gets to decide. Evens, Luke gets to decide.
Oh, okay.
It's a 2.
It's a 2.
Dang.
Luke, would you like to go first or second?
Now, statistically, it makes more sense for me to go first. Unless Denise is real bad, in which case I might stand
Why
me a
would
chance.
mine be really bad?
I didn't say it is, I said it might be.
It might.
I would like to go first, please.
Okay, trying to continue Ollie's hot streak. Absolutely. Let me share my screen as we watch... I almost forgot your name. Your name is Luke. As we watch Luke booking the final run of Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar beats Goldberg in a rematch of the best match they ever had at WrestleMania 33. Cool, we done? Awesome, done. Very easy, nice one.
Nailed
Love that. Great stuff.
8 minutes of black
I'm just
screen.
kidding. I'm totally just kidding. I'm going to do a proper one. We join our story the night after SummerSlam, where Bobby Lashley retained the WWE Championship against William Goldberg. There's no one left to challenge the almighty MVP proclaims. Not even the legend that is Goldberg can dethrone Bobby Lashley. So Bobby is putting out an open challenge. Paul Heyman walks out onto the stage. The crowd goes nuts because they're expecting Roman Reigns to follow, but he instead does his ladies and gentlemen shtick and brings out Brock Lesnar. Brock is about to accept the open challenge when Keith Lee interrupts. You see, he remembers what happened at the Royal Rumble, even if WWE don't, and a #1 contenders match is made for Extreme Rules. Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee. Brock wins, but in doing so, finally establishes Keith Lee as a top contender on Raw, which he should have been last fucking year. And at Payback, Brock Lesnar beats Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. The Almighty has been conquered, and Twitter gets really angry. But what this sets up is a Survivor Series main event clash. WWE Champion Brock Lesnar versus Universal Champion Roman Reigns. The man who has been dominating WWE since his return last August versus the man he can't beat on a big stage. Even Jimmy and Jay question him about this. Can you really do it? Can you really beat him? Of course I can, Roman says. I'm the head of the table. But the look in Roman's eyes says differently. He's been in the ring with Lesnar before, and he's never come out the victor. But perhaps more enticingly about this matchup is that Paul Heyman is the advocate for both men.
Mate.
At Survivor Series, he's going to have to make a choice. Does he stick with the head of the table, or does he back the beast?
might have forgotten about
the
that.
crowd, of course, are electric for SummerSlam. Roman has never beaten Brock on a big stage before, and this
saying
is his
it, Luke.
chance.
It's
and
so
Roman
wrong.
comes out without Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar's music hits, and Paul Heyman comes out with him. Swerve! Just when it looks like Brock is about to beat Roman, Heyman tells the Usos to get in the ring and attack Lesnar. A DQ! Boo! Says the crowd, and presumably Twitter. Heel heat! Says WWE writers. But you see, this wasn't about the match. This is about the post-match angle. Jimmy and Jay tie Brock's arms into the rope while Paul is screaming at him about no longer being the next big thing. Roman Reigns hits a spear on Brock Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't drop to the mat though. His arms are tied up in the ropes, held there by the Usos. Another spear. Another spear. The crowd that were once hot with heat now feel concerned for Brock. Another spear. Another. Blood pouring out of the mouth of Lesnar. Michael Cole screaming about how no one has ever put the beast in this sort of position. The following day, WWE.com posts, WWE has come to terms with the release of Brock Lesnar. We wish him well in his future endeavors. It's leaked to Dave Meltzer and Sean Ross Sapp and Andrew Zarian that this is due to those budget cuts that we've heard so much about. Brock is gone for real. A tournament is held to crown a new WWE champion because Brock is gone, and the final sees Keith Lee beat Bobby Lashley to become the champion. That rub he got from being beaten by Lesnar finally pays off, and it's a new era for Monday Night Raw. Over on SmackDown, Roman is the man who killed the Beast. Heyman celebrates their master scheme, and Roman asks him, scheme? What scheme? You know, me and you working together to retire Brock Lesnar. No. I retired Brock Lesnar. I'm the guy that took your guy and put him out to pasture. He's no longer the next big thing. And right now, I'm the only thing. And the only thing that matters now is that on January 17th, 2022, Roman Reigns is going to become the new longest reigning Universal Champion in history, beating the record of 504 days set by, you guessed it, Brock Lesnar. With Roman retaining over Sami Zayn at TLC, it's almost a surefire thing now, especially as he won't have to defend the title until the Royal Rumble. But there's an upstart who wants to ruin those plans. A man by the name of Adam Cole. Baby. Cole tells Roman that he didn't retire Brock Lesnar. He got lucky. Roman is pissed. So much so that he calls Adam Cole a bitch. Yeah, it's that serious.
Whoa.
Cole challenges him to a championship match on the January 14th episode of SmackDown. If Roman wins, he'll become the longest reigning Universal Champion. But if he loses, he'll be exposed as a fraud. On January 14th, Roman Reigns versus Adam Cole is the main event of SmackDown, and as most would expect, the Usos try to get involved. But who should run down to even the odds but Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Bobby Fish? Roman grabs a chair, but Swerve is stopped by Paul Heyman. Confused, Roman turns around and gets hit with the last shot from Adam Cole, who pins Roman Reigns to become the Universal Champion. The following week, an irate Roman Reigns calls out Paul Heyman to explain his actions. Heyman tells him that there is only one person who earned the right to be the longest reigning Universal Champion. And I think you know the guy. Brock Lesnar's music hits and he runs down to brawl with Roman Reigns while the crowd goes wild. A lot of this all depends on whether people actually believe that Brock is gone. I hope that they do. Plus, it's my fantasy world, and they do. But the following week, with a WrestleMania challenge laid down, Roman refuses. Why should I accept, he says on that SmackDown episode. What do I gain from beating Lesnar? My client knew that you wouldn't accept his challenge for WrestleMania, Heyman proclaims. Which is why he's prepared to make you a deal. Not a deal, a chance. A chance to prove your doubters wrong. You see, Roman, in 2015 you were handpicked to be the top guy in this company over the likes of Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And that was a mistake. All because you couldn't get the job done when it came down to it. You had the chance at WrestleMania 31 and you blew it. You had the chance at WrestleMania 34 and you blew it. So here's your chance, Roman. Your chance to silence the naysayers and beat the beast. And if you can, which you won't, Brock Lesnar will retire. You want people to acknowledge you? You want the fans to acknowledge you? They could acknowledge you as the man who rid WWE of the part-timer Brock Lesnar. It's the finisher spamming match that we've all come to expect at this point, but in the end, it's the hand of Roman Reigns that gets raised. He finally gets that big win over Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar is done in WWE. And this can spin off into a family versus Undisputed Era feud, especially as Fish and O'Reilly beat the Usos on that Mania card to win the tag team titles. So just a little bit of salt and pepper onto the story there. As for Brock, he has his final moments in the ring with the man who brought him to this dance, Paul Heyman. Pyro goes off, Vince, the production crew, the roster all come out onto the stage and give him his final send-off. The man who first won his title after a mega push in 2002 is leaving the company for good 20 years later. And Keith Lee won the WWE Championship, just remember that bit. And Adam Cole won the Universal title. And the Undisputed Era back. And Bobby Fish got rehired.
Luke, I'm sorry, but I was feeling a little nervous about my fantasy booking. After seeing your video, I'm feeling a little bit more confident in myself because
you don't stand a
story
chance,
is
do
way
you?
better.
Do you bring back Bobby Fish? Do you get a man his job back? Do you make Keith Lee the WWE champion? I don't think so.
Watch, you'll see. It has emotion. It has the meaning, and it has.
Mine has motion. Mine has loads of emotion. Brock Lesnar's always beaten Roman Reigns on the big stage.
You took way too long to get to the point, and you distracted from the main story like a million times.
Damn, man.
It's salt and pepper. I'm using Brock Lesnar's retirement.
You know what you were trying to do?
I'm using Brock Lesnar's retirement to build a new era of WWE, which I've done so with 2 new champions on either brand.
Look, you were just trying to get brownie points by mentioning fan favorites. You were like, oh, Keith Lee, oh that. I was like, oh, brother.
And it'll work.
I mean, I will say, shameless pandering for putting the title on Keith Lee, Luke. Just shameless, especially considering who's at the head of the table here. Absolutely shameless. Of course, yes. So let's dive into the booking. I mean, it is a booking based around something that's wrong. Roman's beaten Brock before.
That's the whole thing, right?
That's
what Vince has always wanted, was just like Roman to beat him at WrestleMania, and I've given them that. I mean, no one remembers that SummerSlam match, clearly, Adam. Because obviously no one remembers it. So like I've given Roman finally that big win over Brock, specifically at WrestleMania.
Thanks, Luke. Finally putting over that young upstart Roman Reigns.
Dude, Adam Cole's the champion.
Anything, you now fit into WWE creative. You forgot your own product.
We have to move on. We will have a bit more time at the end of this to compare them side by side. But we must move on to Denise Salcedo's booking, which I personally can't wait for. Luke is just rolling up his sleeves, ready to go.
Okay?
Oh, sorry, Denise. I thought you were confident about.
I am confident, which is sad because I was half asleep when I wrote this.
Well, let's enter together into the sleep-addled mind of Denise Salcedo as Denise books the final run of Brock Lesnar.
The story starts at SummerSlam 2021. Roman Reigns versus John Cena. It's simple. Roman Reigns defeats John Cena. Then, WWE keeps on feeding opponents to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns continues to defeat them. You have Roman Reigns getting stronger and stronger. One day, you notice that Paul Heyman does not have the same wide-eyed look that he normally has. No. Instead, Paul Heyman is distracted. Why is he distracted while the tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, is talking? We do not know. But Paul Heyman is looking at his phone like a 13-year-old girl talking to her crush. Roman Reigns notices this, calls Paul Heyman out on it. But
get off your phone,
Paul Heyman is good with words. Paul Heyman is able to convince Roman Reigns that it's nothing to be concerned about. Roman has incredible feuds with guys on the roster, including Finn Balor, the now main roster star, Adam Cole, the now main roster star, Tommaso Ciampa, this new version of Otis. But these men, they all go back and forth with Roman Reigns. They have incredible matches, but no one is able to defeat Roman Reigns. However, all of these guys have gotten over by facing Roman Reigns, so they're not technically buried in my fantasy. Moving on, then comes the Royal Rumble. On social media, WWE promotes that they are going to have multiple mystery entrants in the Royal Rumble. We don't know what number. We don't know who they're going to be. We don't know anything. Entrance number 1. Brock Lesnar is back, and he enters number 1 in the Royal Rumble, and he eliminates everybody. All right, not everybody, but a lot of people, okay? He eliminates several men, more than 13, more than 15. Let's give him 21. All right, he eliminates 21 men in the Royal Rumble. All right, cool. And he ends up winning. Then, the Friday Night SmackDown immediately following the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar's music hits, opening the show, and he comes out. He's not here to BS anybody. He looks straight into the camera, just like I am right now, but a lot scarier and a lot meaner. Well, actually, no, because he's a babyface. Hold on. He looks into the camera, and he immediately addresses Roman Reigns. He gets straight to the point. None of this BS crap. He says that he's back in WWE because he's sick and tired of seeing Roman Reigns running SmackDown. He's tired of all the BS that Roman Reigns has been putting on the show. He's over it. He then calls Roman Reigns a wannabe Brock Lesnar that can't get mainstream media attention. And the entire crowd gasp. And then Brock Lesnar calls out Paul Heyman and tells him that he's been freed of Roman Reigns. He wants him back on his side the way that things should be. But Paul Heyman does not come out. No. Roman Reigns does not allow him to come out. Roman Reigns says no. Instead, Roman Reigns comes out and addresses the beast Brock Lesnar. And he tells them that while he was gone chopping meats in the backwoods of Canada, that he was the one running WWE, that he was the face of WWE, and that nobody cares about him, that WWE doesn't care about him, that Vince McMahon doesn't care about him, that he doesn't care about him, that the fans don't care about him, and more importantly, that Paul Heyman doesn't care about him.
Oh, that's low.
Brock Lesnar is pissed. So he tells him, I want to challenge you at WrestleMania. He can because he won the Royal Rumble, remember that.
I remember.
Before Roman Reigns can even answer.
21 men.
The Usos attack Brock Lesnar from behind. Then, the following weeks, you see the tension between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. They are no longer on the same page. Brock Lesnar has successfully come in between them. Roman begins to get meaner and meaner. He starts to treat Paul Heyman poorly. It's really unfair. The crowd has sympathy for Paul Heyman. They know that he's not being treated right. One day, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, they have an argument. So he kicks him out of the locker room and he tells him, "We're done, Heyman. We're done." And Paul Heyman leaves, saddened. Tears almost rolling down his eyes. Roman Reigns is pacing back and forth in his locker room, not giving one single rat's butt. Just as Paul Heyman is ready to go home, he runs into none other than Brock Lesnar. And just like that, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are back together again. This triggers Roman Reigns so much that Roman then decides to accept Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania challenge. But Roman doesn't want any ordinary match. Oh no. He wants Brock Lesnar's career on the line because he wants to be the one and only man running WWE, the only face of WWE. So at WrestleMania 38, it is career versus title, career versus championship, career versus Universal Championship. You get the point. Anyways, Brock Lesnar's career is now on the line. The coming weeks, you have a bunch of promos and mind games between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. On Brock Lesnar's side, you see him having a grand old time with Paul Heyman. Things are good again. Babyface Brock, comedy Brock is back. And they're having a blast. They're friends again. It's all great. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, is just fed up. He's lost Paul Heyman. Things are not going the way that he wants them to be. And he just really wants to end Brock Lesnar's career. Then come WrestleMania 38. It's finally time for Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Career versus championship. No DQ. This is a blood feud. These two men hate each other. Roman just wants to end his career. He wants to be done with him. So these men battle in and out of the ring. They brutalize each other. Just two men beating the living hell out of each other. The crowd is eating up this match. They are loving each and every single minute of it, hanging on to every single thing that these two men are doing in the ring. Hell, this match might even be rated 10 stars. That is how great it's going. So good. Then there comes a moment in this match where it's just been too much. They've gone through hell and back. And then Brock Lesnar unleashes the beast inside of him. And he just starts hitting Roman Reigns with several chair shots in such a gruesome way. Even the viewers at home are like, this is too much. This is too much. He's killing Roman Reigns. And then Paul Heyman runs into the ring and stops Brock Lesnar. He's pleading with Brock that he's just maybe has gone just a little too far. Brock Lesnar is distracted. Roman uses this to his advantage and spears Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar gets right back up. So then Roman spears him again, but Brock Lesnar gets right back up and Brock goes for the F5. But instead, Roman Reigns is able to get him in a guillotine choke. And just like that, Brock Lesnar passes out. And Roman Reigns retains the Universal Championship. Roman then grabs his championship belt. Brock Lesnar is still lying there on the ground. The camera cuts to Paul Heyman's face. And then Paul Heyman just lets out a smile. Roman Reigns smiles back at him with those great teeth, a teeth smile.
Swerve.
They celebrate. Paul Heyman raises his hand and then they leave. Then the camera shows Brock Lesnar. He's just waking up from that guillotine choke and he's sad. He's very, very sad. This is tragic. He's lost this match, and he's done
Sad
with
Brock.
WWE. The crowd gives him a standing ovation, and Brock Lesnar walks out.
Roman won. That was silly.
So,
Hey, there's poetic justice in this, okay?
a lot of poetry in that, Denise. A lot of poetry.
Thank you.
First of all, it's nice to know that neither of you remember how much everyone enjoyed the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns feud of 2018.
Who else is it gonna be, Adam? Who else is it gonna be?
Someone else! We don't have to have Brock Roman 3 at Mania.
Paul Heyman's there. Like, he's the linchpin in all of this.
Yeah.
He's the secret to all
I
of this.
explained the whole thing. All right.
We were
Paul
dealt a
Heyman-
bad hand. We were
What
dealt
do
a
you
bad
mean?
hand.
You were dealt a bad hand. The retirement of Brock Lesnar, one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time.
I'm sorry, but how do you expect us not to incorporate Paul Heyman into this?
Thank you,
It's
Denise.
right there. The story is right there.
So a couple of things to clarify with yours, Denise. Brock Lesnar babyface,
Yes.
eliminating 21 guys from the Royal
Yes.
Rumble, is it?
Yes.
Oh,
And I don't
love
care
that.
what you say.
I love
yes,
that.
it worked.
Worked so well at Royal Rumble 2020, didn't it? Crowd loved it then.
It worked in my Royal Rumble, okay? Everybody was just like, wow, there's another one. He eliminated one. Wow.
Oh, there goes my
He's taken
favorite.
out 21 other top stars. 21 of our other favorite
Hey, they could
guys.
have been jobbers. I don't care. It's Brock Lesnar. Everybody's
You said there were
getting
loads of.
behind him.
You said there were multiple surprises.
Well, the surprises were... The main surprise was Brock Lesnar, okay?
I was surprised, to be fair. That was really surprising.
This wasn't book the Royal Rumble.
It's a real Sophie's choice, this.
Oh, come on.
both
You
shit
have
the bed.
Luke's convoluted story that includes things that don't even pertain to the story. Mine
It does
actually
pertain to the
pertains-
story. I'm using Brock Lesnar's retirement to create new stars.
You didn't give any sort of depth to any of these people. I did. I got sympathy for Paul Heyman. There was a drama there. I included special one-liners in between these promos.
At least I admitted in mine that Twitter would be mad about it.
You had that much, at least. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, that is Fantasy Booking Warfare.
Well, Adam, whose did you prefer?
Oh, I'm
Come on,
torn.
You got to pick
Well,
one.
Luke, yours was at least based around something that's wrong. Yours was all about finally getting Roman Reigns his win over Brock Lesnar, which
At
he's...
WrestleMania,
That's not what you
which
said.
he hasn't done. That did on the biggest stage of possible, which is WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, SummerSlam, am I right? So I get Denise by default, even though, Denise,
Oh,
you're...
no. I'm not going to get no jobber win. I deserve a rightful win, Adam. No, none of this by default stuff.
Denise, your
My story
your
was
Royal
better.
Rumble booking is the worst thing I've ever heard.
My Royal Rumble booking is fantastic.
Look, we must end this here. I'm going to be honest. I'm leaning with Denise just because I want to see what comes next. I want to see what the semi-final looks like. Obviously, Luke does have the home field advantage. We'll see how it plays out. I can't decide who has won this round of Fantasy Booking Warfare because that is for you, the PFK universe, to decide. It's time for you to make your voices heard. Head on over to our community tab where you'll see a vote. Do you vote for Luke Owen and his finally getting Roman Reigns, that plucky youngster, his win over Brock Lesnar? Or do you vote for Paul Heyman's grand day out, Denise Salcedo's
Oh,
booking?
come on.
Cast your vote. Let's see who's going to meet Ollie in the semi-finals. Thank you so much for being here, both of you. I laughed a lot. And really, at the end of the day, what more can you say than that? Join us next week for Fantasy Booking Warfare as we see who will win the next first round match, which is Sully versus Laurie, as they book John Cena's heel turn. Ooh. Jam that jam, everyone. See you next week.